I'm Keith Bergman, and this week on the Devblog, we're talking TIPI. Welcome back to the War Room. I'm Keith Bergman, and this is the Devblog. And I wanted to talk about my new game and some of my older games today, but I have some big news that I want to share first, because I think this is something that will change the game for you if you don't know about it in the TI-99 4A world. I got myself a TIPI. Now, brief introduction, if you don't know what that is, it's an interface using a Raspberry Pi computer, very small little open source computer, and the TIPI is an interface between the TI, the Raspberry Pi, and the rest of the world. So you can use this thing for so many things. It's a virtual disk drive. You can use it on and get on Wi-Fi. It is an amazing thing. The first night I plugged it into my expansion box, I was able to telnet out from a TI-99 4A onto the internet using the Wi-Fi in my house. Unbelievable stuff. And also you have your drive. You have a drive on an SD card on the TIPI, and you can access that from a browser on your desktop PC. So if you have a program you've been working on an emulation in Classic 99, you can copy, paste, move it right over, and with the touch of a button, upload it to the drive on your TIPI, and you're playing it on real hardware. It's a game changer. It is absolutely a game changer. I was reluctant, I got to admit. I didn't know that much about it, and I've been kind of focusing backward. You know, a lot of the videos that I've been showing are videos of reviews of 40-year-old cassette games and things like that. I've been so focused on archiving and looking back and saving the past that I haven't really been paying enough attention to what's going on in the development community. And this, I have to change that. I have to do better, because this is amazing stuff. This is going to completely revolutionize how I use my TI and how I'm able to get, not only save that old software and get it out into the world, but test my own programs, spend more time using my actual real hardware. This isn't something that replaces your TI. It isn't something that, you know, is a TI in name only or something. It's a tool. It's like a hard drive modem on steroids, if you want to look at it that way. It is a fascinating piece of equipment that I had not even begun to scratch the surface of yet. But I got a little emotional, I got to admit. I loaded Rabbits and Robots from Classic 99 on my office PC upstairs. I just entered the IP address that my TI has, because my 1979 computer has an IP address on the internet now. And I entered that into Chrome, and I was able to, with one click, it was like I was attaching a file to an email. And Rabbits and Robots went from my Classic 99 to the TIPI drive, and I was able to load it in TI Basic directly from TIPI. I was able to save programs from cassette tape on this thing to the TIPI, and boom, they're up on the internet now. It's an amazing, game-changing piece of hardware. I highly recommend you look into it. The first place to look, arcadeshopper.com. They'll usually have varying packages. You can get it as an expansion box card, which I did, and it's a fantastic addition to a PEB. Or they make a standalone version that fits inside the housing of a speech synthesizer, so you don't even technically need an expansion system or floppy disk drives at all. If you've got the TIPI, you've got a drive, you've got a modem, you're on the internet. There's a browser. Stuart Connor from the UK wrote a web browser. I haven't even started on that yet. But there's a browser for this thing now. You can, with obviously quite a few limitations, but you can browse the internet. You can be on the net with your 40-year-old TI-99 4A, and that is absolutely fascinating to me. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is Dice Pak. Now, this was my first ever attempt at making a physical game package for sale under the Orphan Tech banner. I had commissioned some really cool artwork from a great artist named Mark Bookwalter, and we made a package of 3 dice games that run an extended basic: Dice Crash, Six-It, and Dice Rack, which is sort of a sequel to Dice Crash. But I made really nice little 8-page manual, color cover. We made little 1-inch buttons, and of course we made nice professionally made discs on colored floppies. And I still have some of those available if you're interested. Dice Pak, the 3 games. Basically, Dice Crash was one of the first real, like, modern games where I kind of actually had my act together. It's probably the first like game that it's as far back as I'll go as far as claiming what I'm proud of and what I would put out. It's not that great now. It needs a little bit of a rewrite, but I put it out in 2015. Dice Crash is basically Yahtzee meets Tetris. You know, the dice are coming down, you rearrange them into hands. There's a little bit of a draw poker vibe because you're kind of get those hands like in Yahtzee. You have to meet a certain goal to get to the next level. It's a fun extended basic game. It's got some power-ups and things like that. And then Dice Rack was sort of a sequel to that. That one I wrote in 2021. It's a much more interesting concept, I think. It didn't get a lot of attention, but there's a 5x5 rack and there's doors you open and you're playing against yourself in that you're building horizontal hands, but you're also trying not to build vertical hands because you lose points for the vertical hands. So you end up trying to like sabotage yourself by not sabotaging yourself, and it gets complicated. And if the dice fill the rack, one falls down into the row at the bottom and it messes up your score and you have a new goal to reach. It gets a little crazy. I'm kind of proud of that one. I played it the other day for the first time in a while, and I really think that game turned out cool. I like the mechanics of it. The third game in the pack is called Six It, and at the time it was kind of a throwaway, but I really find myself playing it a lot now. It's this simple game. You roll 10 dice. You pull out all the sixes. You can also pull out any two that equal 6, like a 4 and a 2 or a 5 and a 1. And then you get 6 rolls of the remaining dice to try to get as many 6s as possible, or combinations of 6. And obviously, the best scenario would be to get 10 6s, but that's not going to happen very often. So you start making decisions. How many more do you want to roll? You also get bonus points if you use up all your dice before the 6 rolls are up. And you lose points at the end for any dice that haven't been pulled off the board. So that game I'm proud of because it's got AI in it. It's got 2 different computer players, each with a slightly different play style. One more cautious than the other about when they'll pull dice and when they'll go for it and try to get more 6s. It was one of those ideas I had, and I knocked it out in a week or two, and it turned out to be probably the most just quick, immediate fun of the 3 games. So those 3 games, they're a lot of fun just for, you know, they're not high-action games, obviously, but just for fun little dice games you want to play. Six It, Dice Crash, and Dice Rack. Like I said, I have them available. They're still available for sale as Dice Pack 1, our very first, hopefully, of many software releases through Orphan Tech. But they're also freely available. You can download these on orphantech.com. They're available on the Atari Age TI forums. They're old enough now, you'd have to search for the game titles to probably find them there. But those are some games that I'm proud of and that I'm happy they came out the way they did. And I'm hoping, like I said, in the next few months to really start adding more to the canon of released games and physical releases like this one that we put out. Last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about what we talked about last week, Goats and Golems. I'm super happy with how this is turning out. And it was, like I said, it was exciting to get to see it on the real iron after working on it on my emulator, thanks to my TIPI. But I haven't gotten that much more done with it. But we do have goats, and they do backflips. That's pretty cool. And I have a much clearer vision in my head of how we're going to do the battles and the movement. The goats are going to be able to jump and potentially jump over each other. There will be some combat involved. The golems are still a little nebulous in my head about what we're going to do, but they are going to wreak havoc and cause the columns of the mountain to gradually come down. And then there's going to be a really cool little animated surprise when the goats reach their goal. So the point of the game is to either knock all of your opponent's goats into the water or to get as close to 5 of your goats as possible to the other side and off to the safety of the other mountain. So I got a lot of time this weekend set aside to work on Goats and Golems, and I'm hoping to show you a lot more of that next week here in the Devblog. Don't forget tomorrow, episode 2, Tales from the War Room. We'll see you right back here. What are you doing? You were sound asleep upstairs. Why did you have to come down and meow at me now? I'm in the middle of something. Why are you so pesky? Why are you the peskiest creature in the world? I ruin everything.